Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Smash or Pass with JayBee,
Hey.
me, Milly, and of course Smash.
Hello.
So in this week's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the Scooby Doo movie Alien Invaders. So if you've not seen our previous episodes, go back and check those out where we took a look at Zombie Island and the Witch's Ghost. But now for Alien Invaders, and for those of you that haven't seen this for a while, I've tried to summarise the plot as much as I can. So Shaggy and Scooby are driving the mystery machine when they take a wrong turn where they get met by a spaceship flying overhead, causes them to crash the mystery machine, and in their search for help, they find a strange little town full of strange and suspicious people. So you have the chef that's a bit crazy, or at least a bit creepy. They ask why people are hanging around. There's the mechanic, just to name a couple there. So things certainly seem suspicious in the town, and all of them seem to have stories about seeing aliens since the satellites were placed in the town. So of course the gang try and get to the bottom of everything, but could it all be real again like we saw in the first two movies? And when Scooby-Doo and Shaggy get abducted themselves, could they have just met the love of their lives? So, certainly a few interesting points in the plot. I guess, as always, as we have with the first two episodes, let's just start by kind of discussing any notable changes in this movie. I think the main one is the outfit change. How did you both feel about that?
I quite like it. See, I really don't like the kind of blocky suit look of Daphne in Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost, but I didn't mind this. I think it kind of fit the setting quite nicely, and Velma as well. I think they adapted Velma nicely. Although, I don't know, there's something about Fred that anything other than the classic suit
You're just waiting for the ascot.
It just looks wrong. I don't know how to describe it.
I think I have to agree. I don't love their outfits in the last two, but I really enjoy their more like, oh, we're in the desert, it's hot type of, because like I live in the desert, and so I'm like, yeah, you gotta have the bare minimum clothing. But I'm like, I love their outfits in this movie. My only one I kind of say is like a little stingy is Fred, kind of like you were saying, but I wouldn't say it's because of the ascot. I'm just like, why? Wasn't he in like a button shirt? I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it didn't fit with how like Velma and Daphne are like, okay, this is hotter temperatures. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm thinking of like the vibes of Scooby Doo. Is it Where's My Mummy? I'm thinking of where like they're kind of in the like shorts and things again.
Yeah, like
and
she's like
I think
Ruby Roundhouse.
then Fred does get incorporated in that kind of outfit change. But here, like you said, he's just. Just looks too warm.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Fred. Even like I rewatched Scoob last night, and I actually really like how they did Daphne there. It was so different, but it kind of worked. Again, though, I just feel like unless it's classic Fred, there's something like in me that's just like, nah, that doesn't really work. But I don't know what else they could have done. I guess shorts, but I don't know if they could have animated that so it looked well. But I'm guessing so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a stylistic point that. Like you said, in terms of just it looking different, I guess, or different shapes. If it's because with Shaggy, they always have trousers for him as well, don't they? They've not changed his outfit so far when they've changed everyone else's.
And I guess it's cool that stays consistent. I think sometimes they've put him in like Hawaiian style shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess never for like the main bulk of a film.
Moving on to the movie itself. So at the start, we get the kind of three young, I almost think of them as like students, university students working in the space station to kind of set the tone of something entering the atmosphere. Do you feel like that set the tone for the movie quite well?
See, I think the build-up is one of the only things in the first, like, 4 movies that have kind of aged a bit badly, you know. It's only the title sequence, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but when the titles are flashing up and the space and the planets are whizzing past, I'm sure that looked amazing in the day because they tried so many different things with it, almost made it look a bit 3D. But I think looking back at it in 2021, it reminded me very much of those like lessons at school, you know, those science lessons at school when the teacher just couldn't be bothered and then just stuck on some kind of corny 70s documentary about the planets. But once it got into the animation itself, I think it's probably one of the nicer looking ones from this time period.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I for me, this intro is like very, very short. I feel like, because we don't have that long where we're meeting the people that are working at the satellite station thing. But I have to say, for this intro though, I love the music that's playing during this intro.
I think that's a prominent thing throughout this movie is the music.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Oh, just there's so much. There's even the scores, like not just talking about the songs that are sung necessarily. Like obviously they're amazing, but the score as well. Like everything about how the tone is set, I really like, and it's a very different opening because I think just judging by the last two, this is the only one or the first one that doesn't start with like, the Scooby Gang in the middle of a mystery.
Yeah, I mean
That's true.
that is true, and I think to that end, I don't know what it was about the intro, but I certainly felt a bit caught off guard the first time we saw it. So I think I was doing something, so I missed the title sequence. So I just looked at the screen and just saw these three people talking about something entering the atmosphere. And I was a bit like, oh no, did we start this in the wrong place? What's going on? Who are these people?
I mean, I'm kind of surprised at that because I do kind of get where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, I think it's the most at the start of the story intro that we've got.
Yeah, certainly.
Whereas before, they've literally been in the middle of something. Like, say I can think back to Zombie Island and I'm like, who's this massive Shrek monster that's chasing them? Or in the second one, it's who's like,
Ravencroft's
why are they,
mystery.
dressed up as mannequins? Like, what's going on here? Whereas I think the intro going into space very much, like it's not obvious, but you can almost interpret the camera angle being the signal travelling down to Earth, which is then what the scientists react to. So, I don't know.
Well, okay, this might be like a spoiler for later of the movie, but I mean, hopefully everybody's seen it because it's going to be spoiled anyways. But you could, what I believe is that the camera panning is Crystal and Amber, and then that's what they read, at the beginning of the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I believe that
You
was
know
what
what?
happened as well.
Stupidly enough, I've never thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that all these years. That's kind of obvious, right? Although, then again...
Like, it's gotta be, right?
Then again, it does happen the night of the Scooby Gang visiting there, and Lester is aware of Crystal and Amber.
See, that was something that kind of clouded my judgment. I guess I was waiting to the end to bring this up, but we'll bring it to the beginning. Like you said, it makes sense for it to be them arriving. Surely it can't be anything else because, the other kind of spaceship can't have been flying then if they were all where they were. But, as JayBee said, they talk about Crystal and Amber having been there for 2 weeks looking around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
I don't remember that.
here's a question. Is the spaceship that hovers above the Mystery Machine, is that the real spaceship or the fake spaceship?
So, as far as I am concerned, I believe that was the real one of Crystal and Amber. I don't think it was the fake one, unless I am totally missing something.
See, I find it quite difficult to think about the fake one. And so I guess we'll bring this out in the open. So for anybody who's not seen this for a while, obviously the spaceship, the fake one, is a helicopter that's made to look like a spaceship, which is revealed to be the twist at the end. But for me personally, I find that concept quite hard to grasp because I feel like you've never seen a helicopter that would be able to take that size and that weight, surely.
And you'd hear the
propeller
going
and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So for it to be able to lift Shaggy and Scooby up without waking them up, and to be the size that it can just lift two loungers up really comfortably, and there's still to be a lot of space, I find that quite hard to maybe accept in terms of plot, but at the same time, I get what they were creating with that.
And with the laws of aerodynamics, I don't even know if that could take off and land effectively either. I'm sure it could, but that's gonna take some damage without proper landing gear.
Yeah, and if there's only the three of them, you'd think that there wouldn't be a proper pilot qualified to be able to keep it steady enough to lift two loungers up without them waking up. And
Imagine though if they just like tipped off, if they've ever just tipped anyone off in the process of doing that by accident.
I mean, surely they'd wake
Yeah.
up midair, and if I was them, I'd have happily jumped off that as opposed to have been abducted. So
Then again though, I'm sure if that did happen, that would still further the fake aliens' agenda of scaring people, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, I don't know. But it is definitely a weird one. And here's my thing. Now, obviously, you know, Millie, I don't want to kind of like out your opinions on this movie, but I kind of feel that the point of these kind of old, especially these nostalgic Scooby-Doo ones, is that they were meant to bring and breathe new life into the series. So that's what Zombie Island did and what the series continue to do. I'm almost thinking that this is the first movie, and maybe even the only movie, that won't appeal to everyone, or that not everyone would have bought into, because it's a Scooby movie, yes, but it's also very heavily sci-fi. Like, all you need to do is look at the cover, and you would imagine a lot of people that don't like alien movies or don't like science fiction to just go, oh, this one isn't for me. And I kind of feel like that was
certainly my
this
fear
regard.
going into it, I will admit. Because you're very, like, science fiction-y. You love the thought of aliens and researching what UFOs have been seen in the sky in the last 10 years and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, literally, if I'd aged the way that I would have done, like, I would be Lester growing up, because literally, I used to run back from, like, high school, go into the upstairs computer and just Google, like, alien UFO sightings, real footage.
You honestly have the belief that there was an abduction or some kind of alien experience that happened in the window opposite your bedroom.
There was. I saw aliens ages ago. There was a blue light. There were these duck things. And you're making fun of me on the podcast. But I did see something weird when I was a kid. I did.
So I certainly think we're on like different ends of a spectrum going into this movie. I think it's fair to say. So it's understandable why you were like really excited for it, and I was a bit like, oh no. And I will admit, when I saw the green aliens, I was like, oh, please, no. Please, these can't be real. Because it was just like, for me personally, it was like the Green Witch's ghost again. It was just like, no, this looks nothing like, no, this can't happen again,
Do you just
surely.
have something against the colour green?
No, but I was honestly just like, okay, if these... I can like this movie, providing these ones get unmasked. Because... I mean, this is a question that I had for smASH. In the past, we've talked about how there's a lot of people who aren't comfortable with the real ghosts in Scooby Doo and how it should all be unmasking and that kind of thing, as opposed to some kind of supernatural explanation. Is there a group of people who are like, I don't agree with the alien element to Scooby Doo? Or is it kind of just one movie that's kind of gone under the radar if people didn't agree with it?
Okay, so first I want to say, kind of backtrack to what you guys were saying, like, maybe, you know, this one's kind of a won't appeal to as many people type of thing. I will say out of the original 4 movies, this one is the least talked about, but I've discovered that Witch's Ghost is the least seen out of these 4. And a big part of that is because I mean, this is no shade to anyone or anyone's religion, but there's a religion out there that like prohibits watching any sort of wizardry or witchcraft and stuff. And so there's a lot of people that haven't seen The Witch's Ghost because of their beliefs, which, you know, totally fine, whatever. But I will say Alien Invaders is the least talked about. Anyway, so for your question, yeah, it's really interesting. Sci-fi is different than supernatural for people with Scooby-Doo. So they will accept, like, aliens and stuff more than ghosts and whatever.
I don't know. I just feel like I must be in, like, a different... Like, obviously my opinion of this is actually going to change as we go through the movie itself, but certainly initial impressions and seeing the green aliens for the first time... I said no. I can't do this. They can't be real.
I mean, as far as I'm
this
aware,
needs to be an unmasking.
The only time that they've canonized aliens in the Scooby universe was in Mystery Incorporated, right? There's that kind of species of talking dogs there. So I guess
Well,
it's
so
not unheard of.
yeah, they had this movie which gave us a different form of aliens than we were expecting, and then yeah, Mystery Incorporated has the Anunnaki, who are these alien forms that can't come to Earth without taking the form of some body, and so they take animals. So anyway, yeah, it's interesting.
But it does surprise me though that the witch's ghost is the least seen, because I would have thought that with like some of the star power that they had behind, that it'd be successful. But you are completely right. Like obviously these movies weren't released in the movie theaters, but I know that some kind of, I guess some countries even like China like kind of have banned so many films because
Yeah.
of that element of it, to the point where say something like as kind of mild as Iron Man 3 had to very much jump through hoops to get it seen in like Chinese theaters. But so I can kind of see that, but at the same time I'd imagine that the existence of extraterrestrial life also maybe hinders religion a bit. I don't know if that's a thing.
Big thing too is how these are promoted, because like the witch's ghost, I feel like wasn't promoted back in the day as well because there was so much executive getting their hands in that movie, and so like the people who were working on the movie weren't as proud of that one, and so they were kind of like, okay, get it out. And then with Alien Invaders and I mean Zombie Island, whatever, they had a lot more freedom with it, and so they were a bit more like, hey, let's promote our movie. And like Witch's Ghost had a CD soundtrack, Alien Invaders had a CD soundtrack, and then actually Alien Invaders is the first movie that had like a Happy Meal, but it was through Burger King, like a Burger King Happy Meal toy line go along with it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'd love the soundtrack to this. Like, there's so many, and I feel that this is just, I don't know. I really like this, and this actually features a song by Jennifer Love Hewitt, who would have gone on to have been Daphne in the live action movies if it wasn't for I believe the director wanted an in real life couple to play them. So that's kind of interesting, and this isn't too far off. Like this
Yeah.
is a 2000 movie, right? So we're only 2 years off.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I would imagine the soundtrack would be quite expensive to get now, because I'm not sure if they made loads of them. But I kind of want to get
This
that now.
this might be a silly question. Would it have been a tape or a CD?
Oh, it might have been a cassette, you know.
So it's a CD.
Oh, okay.
So this is the first Scooby Doo production to be released and produced in the 21st century, and it was the first Scooby Doo movie ever to be released on DVD the day of release.
Oh,
See, I'm kind of questioning myself now, because I swear I had this on tape. Maybe that was it. Maybe my parents just didn't upgrade to CD until later on.
no, because I know your mum recently gave us tapes for the car because she used to play them a lot.
Yeah, like I had one of those little like things that you listen to, and I had loads of like audiobooks on there. I think they were kind of tape crazy for a while, but I think I used to like accidentally break loads of them. So I think maybe they had no choice but to upgrade. I was very clumsy.
So it looks like the soundtrack ranges from like, this is American dollars too, though,
Ooh.
$70 to $80.
Oh my gosh.
I want to
Wow.
whip mine out now as well. Do we know if it saw like the light of day in the UK? Because sometimes the UK often,
I mean, things
doesn't
seem to
get
be
stuff.
harder to get in the UK.
yeah, like all the Scooby stuff that I've been getting recently have been imported from like America. Oh, I spelled soundtrack.
I feel so bad for y'all. I'm like, oh, you have to import everything. I feel so bad.
Well, I was done dirty. I was legit done dirty by something. Like I ordered a pretty much an authentic theatre poster from Scooby Doo 2002, and I thought it was just going to be this little thing that would be really cheap to import, and it's turned out to be this massive
Oh,
bit
it was
of
still
canvas.
quite cheap to import. You didn't realise what it was, I don't think. He just thought it was a standard poster and it's like 8 feet by 4 feet or something.
Oh, wow.
It's like the height of the wall.
I don't even think I've got
So how
space
much
for
are you
that.
finding, JayBee?
Okay, so someone's trying to flog an empty case or an empty thing for like £9 and £9 shipping from
God.
United States. Again, all from United States. There's one for £50 and £10 shipping. And literally that's it. So there's only 2 options on this eBay that ship
And one
to
of
the
them
UK.
doesn't even have the disc. Wow.
That's
So yeah,
poor.
things are certainly more limited here, it's fair to say. So,
I'm so sorry.
I'm going to take this conversation a little bit back to the start of the movie again.
Yes.
One thing that I really liked at the start of this movie was the Scooby animations. Like, when he does that noise, like, through his, like, pretending that his ribs are showing. And also, I thought the rattlesnake impression was really good. I think to kind of morph a dog into doing that, it's quite advanced, I think, for, like, 2000. And also, I was really happy when that reference came back later in the movie.
Yeah, but it also reminds us not to take things too seriously as well. Like, for all it's kind of in a darker setting, it starts at night, it's a bit spooky. It is going through some effort to remind you that it is a light-hearted Scooby Doo movie, you know, at its heart, which I kind of like, all the kind of silliness. I enjoy that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is unfortunately the last performance from Mary Kay Bergman as Daphne.
Yeah, so this was her last one she did as Daphne. She died November, a year before the movie released, and so this movie was dedicated to her.
See, that's sad because she actually does a really good job. Like, not just saying that, but like, I think she's one of the. Oh, I don't want to say one of the better Daphnes because I don't think we've had a bad Daphne in like voice acting wise.
I just think collectively it works very well. I think ultimately, moving forward, there's a few times when there's a voice that might not fit as nicely in. Like, this is just a really nice level. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think moving forward, for example, I know there's one actress who I can't remember, and it's the voice of Velma.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think that at the minute it's all really nice and peaceful in that I associate these voices with Scooby Doo, but then things do change a bit further down the line.
I mean,
They do.
I unfortunately, I really like Heaven North's Daphne, but I do think it becomes not that great. It, like, you know, later on, unfortunately, I think it's, when does it really show? I think in Monster of Mexico, there's something about it that's, I don't know, that I don't really like that much. And obviously I think there's, you know, behind the scenes reasons for that. That definitely isn't Heaven North's fault. But I don't feel like, even though obviously, you know, Mary Kay Bergman is probably going through some like serious things, maybe at the time of recording or around recording, but I think it doesn't show at all because this is definitely a top performance from there.
Mm-hmm.
I like
I love Mary Kay Bergman as Daphne. I'm kind of sad we only got 3 performances out of her as Daphne. But when we do get to like Legend of the Vampire and Monster in Mexico with Heather North returning, I got stories for those. I got stories.
Oh gosh,
We have things to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because honestly, and this is no exaggeration, I could talk about these movies with smASH for hours and hours and hours.
In total, you will be doing.
You know what? That would be great. I could relive all these amazing moments.
So I did have a bit of a weird prediction at the start of this movie, I will admit. You know when we first see the jackalope? Is it pronounced jackalope?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like a reindeer rabbit.
And it runs behind this metal fence. I honestly thought that one of the covering things was going to be like some almost like genetic mutation place, and that this animal had just been crafted. And that was what, like, I don't know, these aliens were covering up or something, or trying to keep people away from.
That would have been interesting.
That was my honest belief to begin with, because I was like, if it's going through this fence, maybe that's like some facility or something. And this just doesn't look normal. What is this?
I mean, what is it? Because I assume that it isn't a real thing, unless you guys in America have like reindeer rabbits running about. Like,
see, one of my predictions
I'm gonna look it up.
One of my predictions was, could it have like come from the different planet with like say Crystal and Amber, and that's why they were trying to hunt it down because they knew they needed to take it back or something.
But they don't take it back.
No, but they try to find it.
I don't know. So it's not connected to the gold. It isn't connected to the weird people. It's just there. I don't know what it is. And it does have kind of this moment, but I have no clue what it's for.
It is fake. It is a folklore animal that we have here in America. That's a jackrabbit mixed with, the horns and whatever. So it's fake. I don't really know why they threw it in there, but
I mean, it is out of nowhere. It almost reminds me of how, like, later Scooby Doo movies handle supernatural things. Like, there'll be a relatively normal plot going along with something that pops up at the end, like, to make you think, oh, so maybe it was all real. Except this is there for, like, no reason. It's just chilling. But
just to kind of pull the plot forward for that 1 minute.
I mean, I guess it does its job because it's a reason for them to revisit. It's a reason for Crystal and Amber to say, okay, yeah, can you take us back to this place?
It's also what triggers them to get scared enough to kind of run to the town in the first place. And then when they do is obviously when they bump into the aliens. Now, when we first see the shadow of them, there's one thing I quite like about this movie is often you see a silhouette before you see anything else. And I think the silhouettes are always quite creepy. And then when the light comes on, I'm a bit like, oh, okay. Especially with the aliens, I will admit, I don't know why. What did you two initially think when you saw the aliens? Did you think that it was going to be an unmasking? Did you find them scary? Do you remember?
I don't know, this is going back years ago. I think I just assumed that it was going to be real. I'm pretty sure. But I wasn't surprised. In fact, I never really gave much thought to the aliens at, like, the end of it, surprisingly enough. I was more thinking about those MP people, because for some reason, they're the things that really scared me in this movie.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, these aliens really didn't scare me. I'm trying to remember the first time I watched it. I remember getting the movie because I got it on VHS for my birthday one year, years ago. But the aliens have never really scared me. But I'm trying to think, I don't know. I kind of think I expected them to be fake. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on when you saw this. So, obviously, Millie, you probably expected them to be fake potentially because, you know that there's a thing nowadays where they're going to be fake and it was a novelty, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I guess if you've watched these movies in order,
they're all real.
There's some element of realism to all of them. But also there is some level of, it's not what you expect it to be. And I think it was quite obvious they want you to think these are aliens, and they're probably not going to be.
I get that. See, I just can't think where my mind would have been at with this. Because, again, even the marketing, it looks pretty straightforward. The Scooby Gang are quite scared. There's the alien there and the kind of abduction ray. So it all seems pretty much just like, here's the Scooby Doo movie, but featuring aliens. And I guess on that, though, I respect this as well, because it goes back to the Zombie Island thing where it throws you off a bit, in that you can't really see Crystal and Amber anywhere on the poster, not even in human form, and I like that, because it is just a surprise.
Are they not on the back?
I don't believe they are. I can see... Oh gosh, maybe, I don't know. I can't really see.
Well, because I know they're not on the front cover, but are they on the back cover of the DVD?
The DVD cover's below the 3 DVDs and now the TV.
Oh, okay. So, we shall take a gander.
Their car is...
They're at the back of the slipcase. Oh, yeah, so even this one. They're in the car at the back there.
Oh, okay.
Huh. So that's kind of cool, but... Was this... Oh, see, I wish that we could do this in video form. Because I have no idea what editions of Scooby DVDs they did. Say, obviously I don't think the DVD that I'm holding right now is the exact same cover or issue or maybe even text that was released back in the day?
It lines up with the, well, other than the writing, it lines up with the official one that you've used for the thumbnail.
So, I've actually got no clue.
So, we, pretty much after what we were just talking about, we meet Lester, which was quite a strange character. And again, it was something new for Scooby Doo in that they'd kind of... You get a lot of kidnappings in Scooby Doo, but it's very rare that you get an instance where they've returned to tell the tale kind of thing. So I think that was a new element that they worked on.
I think so.
And I love their little moment when they're talking to Lester. They kind of, I don't know if it's like supposed to be scary or it's like, ooh, kids can't hear this type of thing. But you know when they go outside the window and you can't hear them talking and you just see Lester's actions and the gang are like, oh, you know.
Yeah,
because it almost seems a lot darker than I feel for Scooby Doo. Like, he talks about being experimented on or something, and it's just like,
I mean,
this is a new level.
Here's the thing: if he's insinuating, probing, I guess is what we can call it. If he, what's he insinuating? I assume he's insinuating probing, right? But
yeah, me too.
That means that there's these three adult humans have abducted this elderly gentleman in weird green foam outfit, and they've decided to mess around in those, what's the goal? I know that they're trying to scare people, but there's a fine line between take us to your leader and full-on violation.
I don't know, I feel like maybe this guy is maybe been a bit more dramatic than it was.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're quite proud to be able to tell a tale and perhaps adding a few extra details.
I mean, I wouldn't wear it with a pride of honour, I'll be honest. I'd make something else up, they took me to the leader, but I kind of won her over a bit, I'm pretty much the lord of an alien race, as opposed to, they did unspeakable things to me.
Yeah, I mean, okay, the one thing that I really liked, in terms of Lester, when we get taken back to the house and things, the paintings were really, one of them, JayBee and I both said, it had a Van Gogh Starry Night feel to it.
He's actually a good painter. In the I would buy those all.
Yeah, they were good.
Legit.
Oh. Okay, but I love that whole joke. He's like,
of the
I
pictures.
got pictures. And then they get there and it's paintings, and then at the end he's telling the officers, I got pictures.
I just love it because everyone believes him, and it was just the best karma in the world for the last thing we see is I guess the villain's getting so excited about Lester's pictures, famous. Even though we know full well that it's just nothing.
Yeah, that was funny.
But I think I'm just patronising the 2000s now, because would people have instantly assumed digital pictures back then? I'm guessing so, because I've got loads of old baby photos from 1998 and stuff. So I assume cameras were very commonplace, but I don't know if that's the first thing that someone of that generation back then would have been thinking about in terms of pictures. He's about 70 odd in 2000s.
I mean, I would like to remind you that you were born at this time. We're not talking 50 years ago.
Yeah, but I know people that are 70 now that don't understand how to use the internet. So I'm sure there's people that were 70 then that wouldn't know how to use cameras.
Yeah, true.
So, I don't know. It's a bit of stereotyping, but I can kind of see Lester's confusion. Or, I understand.
And they are in this secluded town, so I doubt they have as modern of technology as other cities.
Yeah, and I guess that's why, skipping forward a little bit here, when Crystal shows the camera, she gets away with saying it's digital.
Mm-hmm.
When there's some strange things just flashing up, And she's like, oh, it's digital, it's fine. And
Yeah, I did not get that as a kid, Like, there's another reference as well. Like, when Shaggy first gets in the car, he's like, you've got loads of stuff, and it's like a gym bag full of, like, alien technology. I never got those Easter eggs when I was first watching it. Even the digital camera, it's literally only been rewatching it this year that I've gone, oh my gosh, that's quite clearly alien stuff.
yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. I guess it proves that I've got a bit smarter, but like, it's not subtle. Let's just put it like that. If you're
One
looking
thing
for
as
it.
well that I wasn't expecting, when they go to Lester's house, and he was like, oh, this used to be the kids' room. I was a bit like, I don't know, it surprised me.
Yeah, I've literally put on one of my notes, Lester has kids,
Like,
question mark, explanation
This is
mark.
gonna sound awful. We don't see him ever seem to be talking to a woman. There doesn't appear to be a woman living at his house. He doesn't have children that come and see him at all during this. So it's kind of like, what children?
I mean, Lester could have adopted. I don't know. You could have.
No, but I don't know. I just didn't think they came across as, like, when you see them, you don't think, oh, they're a dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if they come out with a sequel, we'll get like Lester's kids. I don't know. But yeah, I was surprised.
One question: if they say that Lester got kidnapped in the night and abducted in the night, are we presuming that he was on one of those lounges, got abducted, then let Shaggy and Scooby stay on those lounges knowing that they could be abducted?
Well, remember he gave us a flashback, and he was just like out walking around, and he got flashed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I just don't know.
I'm just surprised, and I think JayBee said this as well, that Shaggy and Scooby were so happy with staying outdoors after they've just mentioned snakes and spiders, and that been the reason that they didn't want to walk across the desert at night.
And especially with abducting going on.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally pictures on portraits in Lester's house of people being abducted by like ray guns and being on the roof they'd be like the easiest people to get, and they're just like chilling up there.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, their abduction, I did put all that down to just being a dream initially. That is how I justified that in my head.
The creepiest thing
It took me a while to come to terms with the aliens thing, I will admit. So like I said, initially I was like, okay, that could have just been a dream. Like they said it was maybe a nightmare, I'm gonna back that it was.
I just think Lester is far too keen to let the people stay, and they're far too keen to accept his invitation.
Yeah, you wouldn't be comfortable staying in a stranger's house that you've just met in some like random cafe. You've asked if you can stay at a hotel, and they insist that in the entire town there isn't a single place that's like a bed and breakfast or anything.
Yeah, maybe that's just 2021, like just like, I don't know what the right word is, just so antisocial that we've had to become.
To me, if a place can have a diner, it's going to have somewhere you can stay.
But like, imagine if we're just like out and about talking about Pokemon, and someone's like, oh, I've just come into town, and oh, can I see your collection? That sounds awesome. Maybe I would struggle at letting them come to any type of residence that I'm in to see that.
Yeah, you might be like, look, I've got a picture on my phone, here you go.
Let alone, just stay. It's fine.
Yeah, here's my kid's old room, feel free, just stay in there.
Yeah.
Like, I just think this guy's got another agenda.
There's 5 of you, 1 of me, but it's fine.
Like, his opening scene is, hey, I'm Lester, I've been probed, come and stay at my house. That's just ridiculous.
So how did you two feel about the Scooby and Shaggy abduction? Do you think it was... I mean, I think we touched on at the start of the video that it's hard to believe perhaps that the helicopter lifted 2 full lounges and that there was room for the lounges in the helicopter. Also, at the end, Velma and everyone's like, they must have just gone for breakfast already. Are we to believe that they put the lounges back after the abduction?
Yeah, true.
How did they see where Shaggy and Scooby was? Because unless that is some type of magic disc that is transparent to look down, but not to look up, or they have like high-tech cameras, they would not be able to see, right? To aim. Because if it's just a helicopter with a dish at the bottom, where is their view of Shaggy and Scooby coming from?
I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that they managed to drop the things down, pick the lounges up, take them all the way to the new facility, then move them into a different room without them and strap them down on 2 beds without them waking up.
I mean, I guess let's bear in mind
Yeah.
that
And,
it is like a fun Scooby Doo cartoon movie at the end of the day. Like, we literally have like a talking dog that turned himself into a snake.
Yeah, and I've not argued with that once.
So
but just because I don't accept something in my head the same way, I'm like, there was a gap there. But it's a talking dog and I can accept that.
Here's my thing with this scene, and I mean, my girlfriend and I talk about it quite a bit when we watch Scooby, and we kind of like, when the monster or ghost or whatever appears, we kind of get a feel, of what type of creature they are and whatever. And, I don't know how to explain this, but like, when the aliens started talking English, I was like, you just dropped so many levels, and now I just don't even care about you. I liked when you were like, blah, 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 blah. I was like, great, you're talking alien. But once you started talking English, you ruined yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even used to that even back then, to be honest, just from like Doctor Who. Like, he basically has on that show a perception filter, so like something to do with like the ship he's in translates things. So I was very much used to that. I don't know how I rationalize it with myself, but I do agree that like, and I'm not saying that I would have wanted like long alien dialogue in subtitles, but you are right. There definitely was a lot more to them when they were just speaking in riddles. And you have to think, did these people make their own language whilst they were aliens, or did they just know what they meant when they were just talking nonsense?
True.
I mean, my rule for villains and things is, and I mentioned this in the last one, if Shaggy and Scooby can laugh in the face of a villain, it's not scary. And like, there was the big turkey that they laughed at, and Shaggy was like, even I'm not scared of that, in the last one. And then they put this little like suction cup on them and they start laughing. And I don't know, I just have this rule where like, if they can laugh at any point, even if that was like the feeling of being tickled or something, I still feel like if you honestly hold the belief that you are in the room with 3 aliens, you are pinned down and you cannot move, that being slightly tickled isn't going to make you laugh. So I feel like if Shaggy and Scooby can laugh at any point, then it's just like, okay, this isn't going to be as scary as they've tried to make it out to be.
Yeah. Certainly not. But it is, I think, a bit strange, because I know that because of the reveal later on, they abduct people and do like this kind of charade just to make people scared so they don't find the gold. I don't know how I feel about that. I think there's probably a better way of going about things and a less risky way.
And different people as well. Like, surely you wouldn't target some people who've just come into town, who literally just want to get their car fixed and leave, so they aren't going to be hanging around looking for the gold, as opposed to somebody who perhaps lives there and could stumble upon it at any time. Surely you'd want to scare them and get them to move out, as opposed to these people who's literally like, you know what, fix my car and I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I actually feel a bit bad, because I feel that a lot of what I guess I've been saying about this movie is negative, but I stand by the fact that this is one of my favourite ones, like my favourite Scooby movies of all time. I feel like just where we're at so far, for all that there's been inconsistencies, I think that they've toned it really well. Like, from the initial spookiness of the aliens to their eventual reveal, like, of their faces, it's the perfect blend between creepy and goofy, which I think is what you need. And also, I don't know if this is going to be interpreted weirdly, but to me, Crystal looks Indian, right? She's very Indian vibes. And I don't think I ever saw a person of colour in any type of movie until this.
That's one thing that you said about the person that was working in the diner as well, yeah.
And again, I think even the mechanic as well.
Yeah. I mean, one thing as well that I liked about the introduction of Crystal, I mean, like you said, that's a really refreshing thing as well. But this is the first time there's been a female, well, any character of an love interest that's not been added for Fred. So we had
like Lena.
Yeah, there was Lena for Fred in the first one. Then he was like following Thorn in the second one, and Daphne was kind of bullying him for that. And then now we get Amber and Crystal for Shaggy and Scooby. And that's just, I don't know, that in itself was really refreshing.
Yeah, for sure.
And it wasn't just like they were putting a female character in the movie just to cause tension. They furthered the plot, and what I like about this is that quite often I think what they do is that they often have Shaggy and Scooby off on their own subplot that might go somewhere, might go nowhere. Here it actually furthers the story, we just don't really realise it until later on.
Yeah.
Which again I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows a more not human, it shows a more developed side to Shaggy that you don't see explored hardly ever. Like, for example, when he goes to the restroom and like comes out with his hairbrush and his shirt tucked in and stuff, you never see a change in Shaggy's outfit, barely ever.
No.
So just a little change like that, it seems to be quite impactful.
I agree. And literally, even in like Curse of the Lake Monster, when he tries it, his hair doesn't go anything other than scruffy. So it's kind of interesting to see a different take here.
So while we were talking about kind of the Shaggy and Amber and Crystal and Scooby vibe, one thing that I know you said you really like about this movie was the groovy love montage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, I think that is probably one of the best scenes in Scooby history. I think the transition from Shaggy just staring at like the waitress walking away, that's kind of awkward. I'm not really liking how it like started like that and then they morphed into Crystal. That's a bit dodgy. But that sequence is just fantastic.
Oh, yes.
Like everything from just the singing, the beat, to the references to the original TV show.
Do you know what? Just like you said, the lyrics and the animation, like one part that I really like was when he was talking about how like he'd be out solving mysteries for the day but make sure he's finished by 6, and you just get like mysterying on the like porch with Shaggy walking away and one of the ghosts looking really confused. I don't know, I like every element of what they did there. I might be the only one that thought this, but you know when he was like, oh, I'll even help her with her shopping, and he's carrying a chest on the bottom of the boxes, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the 13th ghost chest. I don't know why I thought that.
Oh.
I don't know why I thought that, but as soon as I saw the chest, I was like, that reminds me of Scooby Doo and the 13 Ghosts.
The demons.
It's a bit of a strange thought, but it just kind of, like, connected a bit.
I managed to find that entire song, I think, sang in German, like voiced over in German on YouTube. And it even sounds good in German.
Wow.
I don't know why I found it, but I think a few years ago I just stumbled upon it, and I have no regrets.
Another thing that I really like is, you know, when Scooby in the song's kind of like, you know, don't forget Scooby Doo. Like, because I feel like whenever Shaggy gets a love interest in anything, in like episodes, movies, Scooby takes a bit of a backseat. Like in Mystery Inc., when Shaggy's with Velma and they're kind of hiding from Scooby, I feel like as soon as another character gets added for Shaggy, like Scooby does take a bit of a backseat and he has to like push his way back in again.
Well, he's got Amber though.
Yeah.
And I guess you have to think that maybe that was like Shaggy's interpretation of what Scooby would be like. Like, I'd imagine Scooby was having his own separate like sing-along, which I actually would have loved to have seen. I don't know what he would have sang, but I'm sure it would have been fire.
Something kind of interesting or funny or whatever with this sequence. When this movie came out, they released a toy. I don't know if you guys remember, but in this sequence, there's like a second where Scooby's on a pogo stick, and so they actually made a toy of Scooby on a pogo stick, and like you'd push his paw or something, and he'd hop on it, and he'd sing this song.
That is so cool. It is a really good song, though.
Yeah, and it just fits the tone because I just don't know what else that there is to say about it. You know, this is actually I'm becoming way too money-centric, because now that Smash has just said that about the toy, I want to see how much it costs to bring it to the UK.
Too much, JB. Too much.
I haven't even checked that. Like, I haven't seen it in years. I wonder if you can find it.
Oh no, JB's on eBay. JB's on eBay.
Me too.
Oh no, my offer for this card has been accepted as well.
Oh no. So then...
Oh, I found it!
Wait, what did you say? I just typed in Scooby Doo Pogo Stick. Oh, is it this
You
one where
found
it's
it
like
too?
plush?
Oh.
That's actually dead
They've
cheap.
got that in the UK and it is cheap.
$24.99.
Well, cheaper than you
plus
think.
$2.95. Holy moly.
Oh, JB, you're bad with money.
Can I get this? Can I?
Yes, JB, yes you can.
I actually really want to get it. Oh, that's mad. How much is it in the US? That's crazy.
I clicked out of it. So to buy it outright here, it's $35.
$35. So I don't know why it seems so cheap. I guess maybe. I mean, I'm guessing it probably came with a box originally, and I've not been able to find any in the box. So I guess that brings the value down. That's actually amazing. They did a lot of cool stuff for this.
They did.
Like the soundtrack, the toy. Oh, I just wish that all these older films could get like a new lease of life. I don't know if they could reissue them or do something with them that would mean that they could promote it. But I don't think they ever do with these straight to DVD movies, because we can go out to Tesco's today and still find toys of the Scoob movie, because I guess that was like this. Well, it was meant to be this like theater event, but I kind of wish that there was more of that stuff.
Yeah,
for
like
these
you've
DVD
never seen
films
anything
as well.
like Sword and the Scoob or anything like that.
No, although imagine that you could get like the dragon. I'd have loved that.
Yeah, or the dragon. There's so many things they could do with these movies, and especially to like help promote them, that I'm like, guys, get back on it. I want all this merch.
I mean, even like cards. I was like, this isn't going to help me financially, but obviously I've been like investing quite a bit in these Inkworks cards. If they did them for like these films, that would be fantastic. Like obviously they couldn't do like costume cards, but imagine like signed cards from some of the cast of this movie. Even like if they don't want to do the gang, or they maybe want to have like an alternate gang member, an alternate member of the team per movie. I reckon they could do some pretty good ones. Lester would be cool.
Lester was a good character. And I will admit that in this movie I did fall for some of the tricks that they were putting down with like, I don't know, like who you should be suspicious of. Like for example, when they were in the diner and the waitress was like, you're always so suspicious, Serge. I was like, okay, look at that wording there. Like, she meant to say that he was suspicious of people, but made it sound like he himself was suspicious when he was asking why the kid's hanging around. So I was like, oh, okay, I've picked up on that. I wonder if it's him. And like, I feel like I should have seen enough Scooby Doo movies to know not to have fallen for that. But in my head, I was just like, I could see that, because they came across as quite jolly to begin with. They were really happy when like Shaggy and Scooby wanted all the food and things. And then it kind of took a little turn. It was just like, I wonder.
But there's a few people that you can be suspicious of. Like this, like even, again, Lester's just being a creep in some of these scenes. Like when Scooby and Shaggy finished the Groovy montage and they're like, oh yeah, we forgot, we were abducted. And Lester just leans in and he's like, did they experiment on you? And it's like, why? Why do you want to hear about this?
Yeah, Lester is a little bit strange.
He's a bit full on.
I feel like he's spent a lot of time on his own, and so he was very happy when the aliens abducted him because he wasn't on his own for a little bit, and that's why he's kind of developed this obsession. I
kind of thought you were going to insinuate something else though.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like maybe he's just lonely, and that's why like as soon as they need somewhere to stay, he's like, come here. And why he's almost so obsessed with the aliens. I think maybe he's lonely and he had somebody when he was abducted.
Obviously not like what he was insinuating, but how cute would it have been if the aliens were just revealed to be like his children just trying to entertain him? I mean, it'd be way too full on, but like
It's a bit much.
that would be a bit cute because there's bunk beds, so there's definitely more than like one of them. If they just had two aliens, that would have been kind of cute.
Okay, my thing is, I mean, not that I like fully believe this, but you know, he's portrayed as like this crazy man of the town. I'm like, what if he made up his kids and he just has this room for these kids that don't exist?
I mean, it certainly looks like a room for young children. Like, there was no development,
Yeah.
that they got older before they moved out. They still had bunk beds. They still looked like they had toys. And it's like, did they leave home at about 7
Yeah,
or
that's-
8?
Oh no, maybe.
I mean, maybe he had a divorce and his wife got all custody of him.
Yeah, I guess that would make more sense within the story, perhaps. But I don't know. Like you said, you could almost believe that he didn't have children.
I know.
So, then when Velma and Fred and Daphne go for that tour around the satellite station, I think again, like I picked up on some of the like suspicions that they were trying to throw. You know, when they were heading to go somewhere else afterwards, and they were like, "Oh, we should call this in" or something like that. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, who's the person above them?" And I feel like we've not been introduced to a character that, like I said, I see these three as students. So I almost felt like they should maybe be like a level above them, but I'd never kind of thought about who that was. Like, I know it's a while since you like first saw this movie, but did either of you kind of have any thoughts around that? JayBee.
Here's the thing. I thought that this was a bit refreshing because, you know, obviously we know that they're the villains in hindsight, but I forget the name of the guy that initially invites them. Like, they just seem so friendly. Cause
Yeah, he seemed nice.
when you think about the stereotypical view, perhaps now, of, like, the government, like, obviously, you know, again, like at Scooby Doo, they have to, like, make, you know, points obvious to, like, younger viewers. So these stealth satellites, you know, search for alien life forms. I don't think the government would ever make something so obvious. Like, they wouldn't, like, pay, I guess, you know, I don't know how it works over there, but I don't think they would use taxpayers' dollar to make these massive satellites looking for aliens and just market it that way. But they are being very, you know, front about everything, as, you know, it seems. They're not being this stereotypical shady government agency that's like, oh, I'm sorry, that's classified, or you can't see this because you need to be, like, you know, you have to have restriction access level 5. They're like, oh yeah, come along, we'll give you a tour, it'll be fun. And I like that. Who I see being above them is, honestly,
I think in hindsight it was the MPs they meant.
I think that's what I took it as. But they, to me, they don't seem
Together.
affiliated with them at
Yeah.
all. It's like they're just, say, in like an office thing, they're like corporate workers, whereas these are kind of like everyday, you know, in the workplace type deal. So I don't know what I was expecting. I really don't.
Well, I love that. I believe his name is Bill that invited them over to the station. But I love that, like, he's so like, oh, thanks for the help. You should come look at the station. And then even once it's revealed, you know, that he was in on it and everything, he's still kind of like, yeah, look at what we're doing. Like, I feel like he's such, like, the puppy dog of that 3 group. He's just like, I'm here, just helping them out.
Yeah, I feel like the other 2 are the main ones. Like, even at the end, they were like, think about how much we'll get if we catch them. And he's just stood there like, yeah.
See, that surprises me because
all
I
good.
don't know the name of the other 2, especially the guy. But to me, Bill, if that's his name, yeah, if Bill, like Bill, the nice one, to me, he was the main character of that group from the start. You know, I think they're the one that spoke the most. They spoke with the Scooby Gang before any of the others, and then after the reveal, it seemed like Steve then became this almost Ben Ravencroft-like villain. Like, he's the one that
Yeah.
Velma calls
Yeah.
out, and out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh yes, it was me all along. I'm this great mastermind."
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's kind of like, how does she know his name? I'm sure we don't
Like,
know his name.
Who are you? What's going on? Like, I just, it seemed weird that they made that shift.
I'm wondering, like, maybe they had a name badge or something, or we didn't see them get introduced to the other two. You know, once the scene cuts, they're already talking and whatever. But this is kind of jumping ahead, but I was just wanted to say with these people, I love kind of the reveal of this movie, and that they're not like, okay, let's see who it is, and pull off the mask. Like, Velma's like, I'm gonna call you out, and you pull off that mask right now.
I did like that. And I also liked how they didn't just stand there and take that their identity had been revealed. Because it's almost like with a lot of them, the second you lift the mask off, it's like they've lost all the power to do all the flying abilities that they've been doing and things throughout.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, it's over, they know who I am. Like, no, you've been outwitting them for the best part of half an hour in this episode or this movie. You've got flying abilities. You've been making it look like you've disappeared somewhere. Like, you're intelligent. Just because you've lost a mask doesn't mean that you can't do what you've been doing.
And they've captured them. Worst case scenario, fly off in the helicopter.
And that's what I like about what they did here. They're just like, fine, do you know what? You know who we are? Get in this net. Then you two chase after them too. Let's go. Like, they don't just sit there and take it like some of the villains do, which is good.
Although we're told who the villain is very, very explicitly before this, I believe. In that when Daphne, Velma and Fred are in this kind of south base, I think I don't know what the name is unfortunately, but the female member of that group says, where's your other friend and his dog? When by the story of the movie, they haven't even met. They shouldn't be aware of this other friend with a dog unless that they'd met them before, I guess the aliens.
Yeah.
So in terms of dialogue, we're explicitly told who it is. And I kind of like that in hindsight. I don't know if there was like a scene that was deleted where they met and that was something that's just been thrown in there, or because you'd have thought that Velma would have picked up on that, like, oh, what do you mean you've never met them? Because then I feel like it'd be game over.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like she was keeping it quiet to get a little more evidence, because then once they left, she was like, did you guys notice their shoes had dried mud,
Yeah, she was certainly suspicious.
So I'm just going through some of these notes. Okay, here's an important note. One, I feel that the MP people, the MP guys, are genuinely quite scary. And when they're chasing Crystal, Amber, Shaggy and Scooby into that cave, do they pull real guns?
Yeah, they pull guns, and I want to say that you don't really see guns in Scooby Doo.
There's so many episodes of, say, the Pokemon anime that aired in Japan with real guns that they full-on edited out in the American and, like, I guess, British release.
Yeah.
And it just, because they are quite clearly, like pistols? And they just have those guns, and it just shocks me. Like, they seem like a genuine threat. Like, I was always more scared of the MP guys, be it on foot or in their trucks, more than any of the aliens. And I don't know, I just can't handle, even in horror movies now, just the thought of like humans hurting humans. Like, aliens and ghosts I can deal with, but to me this was just unsettling, especially to see it so early on, because I don't think we ever get guns in the Scooby universe ever again, right?
Yeah, I can't think of another instance really where you see guns.
Not really guns. There's a movie called Shaggy Showdown. Have you guys seen that one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So that one, the monster villain or whatever is like a skeleton sheriff cowboy thing, and he has guns, but his guns are like green, like they shoot green flames basically. And then in Mystery Incorporated, we see like these, we see different types of guns, but we we only hear them get shot. We never see them get shot.
Oh yeah, there was that ghost. The one that the sheriff had like these weird phantom guns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this brings us on to a very cool scene, which is, I guess, that chase montage to the song "The Aliens Are Here," which again is one of my favorite Scooby songs.
I love this song so much.
Oh,
All the music in this movie is just a level up from before.
I just don't know what went wrong with The Witch's Ghost, because they had a perfect song that played in the end credits that could have filled the gap of a chase scene in the middle.
And I mean,
like,
the Hex
Zombie
Girls
Island,
can only redeem it so far.
Zombie Island had Terror Time Again, and even though I don't think this reaches the level of iconic as Terror Time Again, I would honestly think I'd rather listen to this song more than Terror Time Again. Just because I just think it flows a bit better.
Here's some interesting things about songs and stuff. So, The Witch's Ghost had a CD soundtrack, and yes, we do hear, another song at the end credits of that movie. And it's performed by the Hex Girls. I believe it's The Witch's Ghost. I believe that's what the song is called. Yeah. So on that CD soundtrack for the movie, there's actually like 5 other Hex Girl songs that we've never heard in movies or TV shows that are so good, and I'm like, these need to be out because they are so hard to listen to unless you have the CD or you can find it online. So if you guys haven't heard those, I very much recommend going and finding and listening to those, because there's one all about Velma being in love with Ben Ravencroft, but it is so good.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, so with Alien Invaders, I'm trying to remember who sings The Aliens Are Here in the movie, but then for the CD soundtrack, they got someone else to do it. There's no reason why, at least that's been said. And I do not like the CD version. I'm like, the movie version is so good, and I just feel like they, it has kind of this like edgy and kind of creepy vibe to it. But then the one that's on the CD is so much more like one-eyed, like purple people eater. Like, it's so like, and I'm like, no, you ruined it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it could almost have been, and this is gonna sound weird, but the one in the film could almost be sung by one of the aliens, I guess. Like, it sounds a bit raspy. It sounds
true.
Very just alien, and that's what I like.
Yep.
It was very good, and I mean, okay, so I will admit, they reveal at the end that they were doing it because they were mining for gold. Like I said, by this point, I'd come up with some really elaborate theories about, like, the Jackalow, like, there was some kind of genetic thing, that it could have been, like, some lab experiment that was causing this glow. What did you think to the reveal that the glow was caused by the gold? Did you have any thoughts on that?
I think it was ridiculous, because the thing is, they set it up quite realistically, like, we stumbled upon this mine, and it turns out that other people had been mining, and if only they'd mined a bit more, they would have found the gold. And yet, when they fall in, they find gold
directly at the gold. Yeah, like, they must have mined that
without doing any additional mining. So,
yeah,
I mean, I would have liked there to have been some type of cliche reveal, even if it was just, it turns out that it's fool's gold or something. But they explicitly say if they dug a bit deeper, they would have found gold. Yet they just fall in and find gold. So I don't quite know what to make of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a good contrast, because obviously we've spoken about some, like, I guess some kind of creepy themes in this, like aliens, extraterrestrials, and then just to have it boiled down to a group of, like, disgruntled employees wanting more money, I feel like that almost brings it back into some more, I guess, of a realistic concept, which is a good, like, choice. Because it would be a bit weird if they were just, like, after the Jackalow to sell it at an auction.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so then, I mean, there's the helicopter reveal, which we've talked about a lot. I still don't think that that's like the most feasible thing in the world, but I guess with an amount of gold like that, you could certainly do some incredible things. So I can see that they may at least have got the capacity to make it look like a spaceship in the air, but I feel like for the interactions, maybe it would have been too small.
How does one use gold as currency? Do they just sell the gold?
The gold. It sells by weight, I think.
So surely they could have bought something better, like I don't know. I just think, why would, like, if I got gold today, the last thing I'd think about buying is a helicopter to disguise as a spaceship. You'd think that they'd hire a workforce or some way to extract the gold quicker.
JayBee, everybody has different priorities with money, and quite frankly, if you found $1 million worth of gold tomorrow, the first thing you'd buy is a Scooby Doo piecework. So don't know that we can use you as an example there.
No, but like, okay, that is okay. I'll accept that point. Yeah. To be fair, the pieceworks are cool.
I don't have anything against them. I'm just saying a lot of people with $1 million would have other priorities than a pair of Sarah Michelle Gellar's trousers.
I mean, what other priority is there other than Sarah Michelle Gellar's trousers? Nah, you're playing now. Oh my god.
So, and
I
then
don't know how to recover from that. I'll just stay quiet for a bit.
Okay. And then there's obviously the big reveal at the end of Crystal and Amber. Had you kind of guessed that before, would you say, smASH?
I wouldn't say I would have guessed that, because I can't totally remember the first time I watched this, but I will say I was on to them, as soon as she opened the camera, I was like, oh, interesting, but I was like, there's, maybe she's working with the MP and like, they're just acting with her or something, but I don't think I expected her and Amber to turn into aliens.
Yeah, one thing that I don't know, one thing that I might have thought about them in a bit of a negative light is like, I felt like they perhaps had some like other motive. Like, I know when Shaggy was trying to talk to her a few times about his feelings, she'd walk away. Like the time when he ended up asking the MP if he'd got a boyfriend. Because as soon as he started to have these heart-to-heart conversations, she seemed to move. So I felt like she either had some kind of motive to need to speak to him. Like maybe she'd kind of set up being there when he came around because they needed something that Mystery Inc. was known for or something like that, because we saw in the last one that they were used by like Ben Ravencroft because they had knowledge of like mysteries and things. So if they were being used again, I certainly was quite suspicious of her, but I think it was more her intentions towards Shaggy that I got suspicious of as opposed to her being an alien.
Yeah, I get that. Because it does seem like she's just using them at that point. And again, I think that there's a bit of insincerity where she says on at least 2 occasions, I have a confession, and then it's kind of still another curveball. And I think that's just a bit ridiculous. But obviously, I don't think that it would have been a fun film if they were just like, yeah, we're aliens, just roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about the Amber Crystal alien reveal is I feel like if it was a movie that came out today, and this is going to make me sound old, that would be everything that the Scooby Gang would need to win the day. Just something that comes out of nowhere that, like, completely diminishes every single threat or every single villain's motives. Whereas this, they do have that reveal, and it does buy them a bit of time, but at the end of the day, it isn't this godlike power that they've just got to, like, wipe the floor of everyone. They still have these MPs that, I mean, I don't know, at some point where, like, I think it's Amber in alien form that's holding back the kind of tractors, I'm actually genuinely scared for the two of them. And I think that that's something that maybe a newer film probably wouldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I did like is that they showed them there to be vulnerable. Like, you quite often see that, like, upon the reveal, the thing that's real doesn't have vulnerability. So, for example, the witch in Witch's Ghost is supposed to be this all-powerful thing, and the Catwomen in Zombie Island, they were there with their dolls and nobody could stop them. They brought all the zombies down and all this kind of thing. So I guess to see a different angle where the thing that was real actually was quite weak and they were quite open about being weak was almost refreshing.
I'm thinking more from the hero's perspective, because obviously no matter what the real threat is, no matter how real the zombie is or whatever, you know that Scooby and the gang are going to win the day. But I can't think of a time that I've seen a movie where the hero has acquired this new ability or this new reveal and it's not just been everything that they need. Like, thinking about some of the DreamWorks things, like How to Train Your Dragon 2, I love that movie, but at the end of it, Toothless gets this new godlike power and that's all he needs. Kung Fu Panda, when Po does his new kind of trick at the end, that's all he needs to win. And I think that when a hero gets something that's so powerful, it's the easiest thing in the world to just make that everything they need and just wrap up the film and call it a day. But they don't do that here, and I like it.
One thing that I would perhaps argue with is if I was in the mindset of Shaggy and Scooby, who are scared of everything, I don't know that I'd be quite as accepting, or at least not as quickly, of the fact that Amber and Crystal are the aliens. Like, if I'm pretending to be in their mindset and see two aliens stood there, I'd be screaming, I'd be running. I wouldn't be sat waiting to hear, like, Velma shout, "Oh yeah, that's Amber and Crystal." I'd be like, "No, let me get out of here." I think they accepted that perhaps a little bit too easily. I don't know.
They should have definitely ran out first, but I do like how when they see that it is Amber and Crystal, they almost show character progression. Like, literally, in the last movie, they were, very impressed by the Hex Girls until they saw the fangs, and that was enough to, like, put them off them for the entire movie. And here they see something so much more dramatic, and yet they look past it because of the emotional connection that they've built up through the film. And I guess you can call that inconsistent, but I'm kind of interpreting it as just because
Romantic.
It is the next movie on. Yeah, as like that character progression. And this is crazy because it's this type of thing that I think of. That is the reason why 20 odd years on, I still tear up at the end of this movie.
Yeah, you did. It was quite sweet.
I just can't not. I'm tearing up now just thinking about it.
I don't know. I feel like it's more difficult when it's someone for Shaggy or Scooby because, like, they introduce a lot of people for Fred, but ultimately he has Daphne, so at the end it's not as sad. And, like, you just like, okay, if anything, they were just intervening, it's good, they're out of the way.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, because, I don't know, I feel like everyone has a bit of, like, just a little place in their heart for Shaggy and Scooby because they always seem to mess up and then try and do the best that they can, and they're just really sweet to watch. So to see something negative for them, I think it kind of hits a bit harder than if it was Fred, because if it was Fred flirting with someone, you're just like, oh, you've got Daphne anyway, what are you doing? Whereas, like, for Shaggy and Scooby, it obviously means more, I guess.
Yeah, every time Fred tries to impress anyone that isn't Daphne, he's making a wrong decision. That's what I've got to say about the matter. Whereas with Shaggy and Scooby, it's just endearing. I think them being brave will never not be endearing.
And see, the thing is I didn't feel bad for Velma either when Ben Ravencroft turned out to be the bad guy.
It's like, they actually torture Ben Ravencroft up until that point.
But with Shaggy and Scooby, it's just like, oh no. You've got to feel sorry for them.
I've written something in my notebook that I cannot make sense of.
What is it?
1960s Earth signals is cool. Does anyone have any idea what I meant by that?
One thing that you did mention was when they say things from 1969 and you said that was the first episode.
That's a kind of cool Easter. But I've written it directly after the alien reveal. I don't know why I've written 1960s Earth signals is cool. I don't know.
Because Crystal and Amber, that was the signals they were getting to
Oh,
their
yes.
relationship
yes, okay.
And that's
fit
why
in.
they were speaking like Shaggy.
Yeah, and that's why they're dressed in all the hippie stuff.
Yes, you're right. That because I think that's a legit thing, isn't it? In like history, they used to like send all signals up.
Well, as well, you need
Yeah.
to consider that things that are so far away take so long to get there. For example, they say that the sun's 8 light years away, so whatever you see for the sun is actually 8 minutes, happened 8 minutes ago. So if you're a sufficient distance away, obviously they're probably not like 50 years away, but there's some kind of time lapse.
I mean, say if it's 2025 or 2030, and we sent some space signal up in like 2020 or 2021, I wonder what the aliens would come down doing. Like TikToking? I don't know what. Memeing? I don't know what they'd be doing. It's just kind of interesting that their caricatures of 1960s is just like, hey man, that's groovy. I dread to think what they would do now.
I mean, they'd probably come wearing like a mask or something.
Yeah, or like twerking or
because of
something.
Yeah,
COVID.
right.
That would actually be kind of cool. Imagine that. Oh, I want this sequel now. Just make it happen. They should make it happen.
I feel like if we've talked about sequels, of course, there was one for Zombie Island. We looked at some possibilities for Witch's Ghost. I feel like, I know you said there, looking at aliens from a different, like that saw a different time, but I think most people just want the return of Crystal and Amber for Shaggy and Scooby. I imagine.
agree, and I just wish that Scooby and Shaggy could have gone with them at the end, because I almost feel that Crystal's all but inviting them to come along, like, oh, there's definitely something between us, but you know what they say about long distance relationships, and Shaggy is just like, yeah.
Like, I get you crying at that movie, and I think ultimately, if we'd been following Scooby Doo for like 50 years, and Matthew Lillard had got to a certain age, and they were like, do you know what? He's been Shaggy for so long. Let's wrap this up with one episode that is undisputably going to be the last one. And at that point, they went with Crystal and Amber. I'd back you. I'd be crying too. That would be so cute.
Oh, don't talk about that. I'm legit. Don't even do that to me. Stop.
Like, then I'd see where your tears are coming from. I would probably tear up too.
No, I can't deal with that.
Because I do like things having a nice finale, and like, obviously Scooby Doo just seems like something that's going to live on forever. So I imagine it won't ever get that kind of finishing moment. But I do like it when things do, and that would be really nice.
I just feel like they really... I mean, again, this was, 20 years ago, so, whoever worked on this movie probably isn't working on Scooby anymore, but I kind of feel like they did this with the intentions of having Crystal and Amber coming back eventually, but then, different creative heads took over and stuff, and dropped it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine like there is, like you said, different creative heads, and I believe that some of the producers have been like, oh well, we don't want real ghosts anymore, and so I imagine there'll have been one saying like, oh, we don't want aliens again. That was just, I don't know, everyone, like you said, has a different vision, and it's almost there's too many people that get involved that it gets very clouded.
But if you think about it, this is the odd one out in terms of the original 4 films, in that this could almost be taken out of canon, and it's the only one that there would be no kind of like head scratching about, because the first one, Zombie Island, there's the sequel that kind of brought that more into like, I guess, relevance again, and not that it even fell out of relevance, but there's a strong connection to the original Zombie Island. In terms of Witch's Ghost, the Hex Girls that started there have been recurring ever since. And then if you go to the Cyber Chase, it isn't much, but I believe at the start of, what is that movie called? Like the vampire one? They're playing that Scooby game in the Mystery Machine.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so there's references to every single one of the original 4 films except for Alien Invaders. There's nothing. And that's where I'm kind of like, are they just trying to hide the movie? Is there a reason why there's been no mention of anything?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm kind of worried.
Right.
Because if there's one of the originals that I want a sequel for, it's this one.
Me too.
What would your ideal sequel be for this? Would it be Crystal and Amber? Would it be more of the green aliens again?
So I'm trying to. I've been searching for the last few minutes. I made, like, at the end of last year sometime, I made, like, a fake teaser poster for Alien Invaders 2 and posted it, and, like, so many people thought it was real. I felt really bad. They were like, and I was like, oh, sorry, that's fake. I was just having fun. I'm trying to find it to send you guys, but my thought would always be it does okay, like it doesn't have to be a direct sequel to Alien Invaders, but I really want I mean they've had another Alien movie since that was Moon Monster Madness. And that one was fine. We'll get to it when we get to it. But I just really would like a story now where Crystal and Amber need the gang's help up in space.
That would be good.
Yeah, a bit like Thor, or what is it? The Dundee movies. Like, they've had them as the fish out of water, now reverse it a bit.
Is it bad that I'm already starting to plan, like, in my head what their outfits would be? Like, the purple spacesuit for Daphne, the orange one for Velma, the blue for Fred.
I mean, could you imagine the tagline, though? I don't think I'm ever going to reach the kind of
Out of this
creative
world.
madness as, like, it's terror time again. But they could have, like, the aliens are here again, or the aliens are back. That would be kind of cool.
Okay. I found the little poster thing that I made. I'm sending it to you guys.
I want to try and check it out, but that would be cool to see them on a different planet. But
It's working again now.
I hear you now.
Okay, so I guess
The internet cut out, I think, just as we're about to open up Discord and take a look at the new thumbnail.
Oh shoot.
so. Oh gosh, yeah! Look, the aliens are here, and there's that kind of peace signal. 2022. Oh, that would be. Oh my gosh! And there's Crystal and Amber in that kind of.
Oh, God.
Well, so that's their necklace.
I love that. That's actually amazing.
Anyway, that was random.
But I was just kind of like saying, if the creators of Scooby Doo right now, or like the producers, aren't into making things paranormal, would they stay away from aliens? Because, like we say, it is quite a different thing. So, if people are okay with aliens and not ghosts, would the producers be okay legitimizing aliens but not ghosts as well?
That's what I want to know too. I'm like, where does this no supernatural thing draw the line? Like, what's considered supernatural to them? What can they accept that is real or isn't? And so I also am like, what exactly would, I mean, I don't know. I'm like, I want an Alien Invaders 2, but I also don't want it yet.
Yeah, because the only way that they could make a sequel and, have it like it's like realistic, like aliens don't exist, as I feel would be to reveal that Crystal and Amber weren't real aliens and they were just, like they say, secret agents or some description.
That
and
left in the helicopter.
everything was confidential. Yeah, like they left in the helicopter, they had to maintain deep cover. And then I kind of feel like that ruins all the emotional weight of the original ending, whereas obviously we'll get to Return to Zombie Island, and for all I definitely don't think it lives up to its name, I don't think it ever disrespects Zombie Island. Like, if I don't like Return to Zombie Island, who cares? There's some people that do really, really like it, and that's awesome. The Return to Zombie Island doesn't take away or delete the original Zombie Island, but I kind of feel like the only way to make it fit into that mold for an Alien Invaders sequel would be to directly kind of ruin things for the original, which I wouldn't like. Oh.
Yeah, and like Crystal and Amber, to me, at least Crystal, I don't know about Amber for Scooby, but they've always felt like, the OTP for Shaggy and Scooby.
Yeah, like, because who else was there? From what I recall,
Wasn't the one with the dog show where there was somebody that they both liked?
I mean, Scooby often finds a dog to kind of like. So there was that
Yeah.
Antonaki in Mystery Incorporated. Even back in the day in like Scooby Doo, I think it's Where Are You? There was that dog napper episode.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
there's always been that. But in terms of Shaggy, I guess there's Velma sometimes. Though he had an ex-girlfriend in What's New Scooby Doo that was an actress, I think. Beyond that,
And
Am I crazy saying that I thought he met someone at a dog show?
what's Shaggy?
Yeah, either an ex-girlfriend at a dog show or something.
He definitely met an ex-girlfriend. I don't know who he met at a dog show.
yeah, that was in What's New Scooby Doo. But one of the more recent kind of people, girls or whatever that people have been, kind of putting Shaggy with lately. It was ever since I believe like 2010, 2011. We met Madeline, who is Velma's younger sister, and Madeline had a crush on Shaggy for like years, and then in this movie that we meet her in, she still has a crush on him and is like, "Come see this" and whatever. And a lot of people think that they should be together, Madeline and Shaggy, but I've never felt that way
I,
with them.
what's your opinion on Shaggy's girlfriend from The Reluctant Werewolf? Did they ever make a return?
No, and there's been lots of weird theories of that. She's never returned or never been referenced at all. I just felt like that was really random. I like her as a character, but I feel like where she was so random and then never returned, there just wasn't enough character building to give me like kind of a reason to like her and want her back. Whereas at least with this movie, we're meeting Crystal and Amber for the first time, and they haven't been dating for some odd time.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I kind of always feel guilty asking you these kind of more technical questions, because I guess I've gone to a stage where I automatically assume that you're going to know the answer to things. But you were kind of quite knowledgeable in the Witch's Ghost episode about, I guess, the voice cast for the Hex Girls being very vocal about, meetings with shows on potential spin-offs. Have the voice talents for Crystal and Amber ever done an interview recently or semi-recently about making a return that you're aware of?
No, I have never heard them talk about anything about it.
That's sad.
I might need to look on IMDb, because it kind of shocks me, because I would imagine that they're quite popular, and the fact that, there's not been some point in time where, there's been, a group of people maybe tweeting at them or something, I don't even know if they're still around.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that does it for my notes. JayBee, anything else that you want to say, ask?
Simply just that Shaggy and Scooby getting over Crystal and Amber so soon is a huge missed opportunity. I definitely don't want them to end up really depressed and miserable, just hunched over, looking like life is meaningless in the Mystery Machine at the end of this. But I feel like to end it on such a comedic tone was a bit I get why they did it, obviously.
But it seems like a lot of development.
But I just don't like how it's just like a factory reset the second they see the Scooby snack. But I don't know.
Okay, so to go with that, I kind of feel like this has the same kind of feel with a future movie called Scooby Doo Stage Fright. Have either of you seen that one?
I don't know.
I
think we saw a clip of it in one of your old videos when you were ranking some of the songs from Scooby Doo, but I don't think we've actually seen it.
Okay. So when the trailer was coming out for that movie, that trailer made a huge deal about, oh, Daphne's finally gonna reveal her feelings to Fred, and it even explicitly has a clip of Daphne in the trailer saying, "I'm in love with Fred," and stuff. And then in the movie, they make that a huge deal too. Like, it goes along the lines of Mr. Incorporated, where she's just like, "I'm gonna Fred. Oh, Fred and I can do this." Like, she's just clinging to him the whole movie. And then they have like an end credit scene of like, "So, Fred, what do you think? Like, should we do this and whatever? Like, do you like me?" type of thing. And then it's just dropped. Like, they don't mention it. They don't talk about it. Like, they made this huge love storyline between them, and like, I was thinking finally they're gonna like progress their relationship. And then the next movie comes out, and they act like it was never a thing, and they're all cool. We're pals again, type of thing. And I feel like this is I mean, not as major as that one, but like in Alien Invaders with Crystal and Amber, they were kind of like, we have this love, interest coming in for Shaggy and Scooby, and then we're gonna drop it and never talk about it again.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they've tried to make it so that any of these movies can exist in their own right. I personally don't feel like, other than if it's explicitly stated like Return to Zombie Island, then I don't feel like any of them really have a link.
I mean, they've changed that a bit recently. Like, the reveal in, I think, Happy Halloween Scooby Doo was quite connected to Return to Zombie Island, and I think the one after it or before it. But certainly at this stage, they are very standalone. Oh, or actually, there's like some recurring characters. Like, there's that. When was it? I think that there's this one nerdy character from the Loch Ness Monster movie that then comes back in the Yeti movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, it is pretty standalone. Like, we never see any of these recurring people return in terms of these original four. Well, that would have been nice.
Yeah. So, Smash, anything to add before we wrap up?
Yes, I have one kind of burning question with this movie, and it doesn't like, it wouldn't do anything if I knew the answer. Like, it wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, that's such a relief. But I am wondering, what happened to all that gold down there? Who got it?
Huh. I guess.
Like, I mean, I'm guessing the government would have.
If they say that it's on government property, that's why they had to be so sneaky about it. And now that the government have intervened, you'd assume that they'd take it, but that is lingering, and that's just a problem with all of it. There's always this one thing, like, what happened really to Ben Ravencroft's book? What happened to the Treasure of Morgan Moonscore? Like, they're kind of bad with, like, wrapping up the whole thing that was just the distraction.
I mean, one thing that bothers me is that Scooby and Shaggy solve all these mysteries, and they always have to rely on someone else to buy their Scooby snacks, like they don't have any money. Did they not think of just picking up one piece of gold so that they no longer have to, like, jump through hoops to hopefully get one Scooby snack?
Yeah, why can't they get their own Scooby snacks? Is that ever...
I mean, I'm presuming...
No, you're ruining my childhood now.
This is a bit of an insult to JayBee. I'm presuming it's a bit like you when you get sweets. If you get them for yourself, you're going to eat them all. Whereas if I've bought them so that you don't see them as yours, you eat them in more moderation because you have to ask to get them. So presumably Shaggy and Scooby would buy some Scooby snacks but eat them all really quickly and then be left with nothing. But you'd think from the amount of work that they put in, they'd be able to... And didn't they win a lifetime supply of Scooby snacks at some point in...
Well, if you're going by the linear
continuum?
Timeline, they do eventually, but I don't know if that's before or after timeline-wise.
Yeah, I mean, and then they still agree to, like, run around trying to find ghosts in order to get 2 Scooby snacks.
You'd assume that these are at the very end of the timeline, with Zombie Island being them returning, but they never do that. That's what annoys me, because technically Daphne is still a reporter at this point, so you'd think that with aliens cropping up, she'd, like, whip a camera out.
Yeah, or, like, there's this huge mine full of gold. Feel free to just jump down here.
The only other reference to Daphne being a reporter was some out-of-nowhere scene in The Monster of Mexico, and then it's never mentioned again.
That's what's bugged me, too, honestly, with these movies, is... I mean, yes, I get... It was a great kind of, like, plot and opening to Zombie Island and stuff, but then it's like they solve, a few mysteries in that movie, and then they're like... and we're back to solving mysteries. Everybody quit all your jobs. Like, we never get any sort of mention of any of their jobs that we learned about in Zombie Island again.
Yeah. Other than, I feel like in The Witch's Ghost, Velma says to Ben that she owns a bookshop.
I don't think she does, and that's the other annoying thing that Velma...
Was it just that you suggested
Yeah,
that?
Velma owning a bookshop would have been the perfect connection to Ben Ravencroft without that convoluted plan.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
And even with this, I mean, it works well, but I guess if we were going on the continuation, Daphne hearing about UFO sightings could prompt her to explore more instead of it just being a random trip. Or actually, are they going to a rock concert?
We don't
They're
know
doing
what they're going
something.
to, I don't think.
It seems like they're under a real time constraint to get there, because it's very rare that if Fred's there, Shaggy and Scooby are going to be driving.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like they're rushing to get somewhere, but then they just accept the mystery machine being broken for 2 days.
That's true.
I like that. But I just don't like how they don't mention that stuff. But it's not something to dwell on, because at the end of the day, I feel like worrying about continuity would take something away from the quality of movies eventually. Like, it's good how they just have one story to tell and they just tell it regardless. So I do like that. But there's some issues.
Do have either of you seen Happy Halloween, Scooby Doo?
I've seen it at least, I think, twice now. I think
I fell asleep on both occasions.
Not, I guess, as a testament to the
not as a
quality,
testament to the movie. It's
I just stay up really late.
Yeah, by the time we put a movie on, it tends to be like midnight because JayBee can never sleep.
Although it isn't one of
so
my
we put a movie on, I fall asleep, and then JayBee watches the full movie.
I was just gonna say, in that movie, actually, the mechanic guy in Alien Invaders, he's the one. He pops up again, and he's the mechanic getting the mystery machine again in Happy Halloween.
Oh, really?
Do they need to wait 2 days again this time?
I don't feel like that.
Yeah, right.
I don't feel like I ever noticed that. Oh, I need to watch that again. How the heck did I not...
Go back and watch that.
So is it explained why they've decided to move from the middle of the desert to, I'm assuming, it's Crystal Cove?
Yeah, so it is Crystal Cove. I honestly think it was just kind of like a cool cameo because he doesn't have any lines.
So I guess there is some connection. So I was a bit bogus in my last statement there, but that's actually really cool. Oh, I was gonna watch the Cyber Chase after this, but I don't know. I might want to catch that.
Just go. Yeah, I mean it's very short. Just go to the point when the mystery machine's all crumpled up, and just go see him for a second.
Okay, so does that wrap it up for this movie? Anybody, anything else?
I mean, I've got nothing else except the verdict section at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
So, JayBee, first to you.
Right.
Scooby Doo, Alien Invaders, smash or pass?
This, to me, is the smashiest of smashes. This may be the smashiest smash that I ever smash in this series. And I don't say that lightly. I just feel that this blends the line between funny, goofy Scooby and kind of serious storytelling. Not to the point where it's, something that you'd put on to, like, say something philosophical. But I just feel like the way that they write this, the music, how it makes me tear up, even 20 years later. Yes, to me this is, I think, my favourite animated Scooby-Doo movie, if not possibly top 2. That's how far I'm going to take it, so definitely smash. So, Millie, here's the kind of one that I'm kind of dreading a bit, but would you smash or pass the Alien Invaders?
See, I really, really like the music. I think the groovy thing was really nice. I really like the amber and crystal kind of element. Like I said, I don't like the alien bit. I don't like the green alien bit. I'm really happy that the movie progressed That being said, I like how it was concluded, like we said, how they didn't just kind of sit and take that they'd been unmasked. It was like, yeah, it's me and I'm gonna own it kind of thing. So that was good. I think it's just the costume design that I maybe thought was a bit... I don't know, I think it's certainly a pass. It's definitely for me a lot lower of a pass than... Smash, sorry, than Zombie Island. But it's still in the Smash category for me. It might be quite controversial. It's kind of around the level of The Witch's Ghost in that story arc I liked 50%, music I liked a lot, and I feel like it's the same for The Witch's Ghost. I like the music a lot from like Hex Girls and stuff. Story, again, it's kind of a 50-50, so yeah, I'm gonna smash this movie, I think. So lastly, that just leaves it to you, Smash. Would you say smash or pass for Alien Invaders?
Okay, so I'm going to absolutely smash this one. My favorite Scooby Doo movie is Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. But a lot of times when people ask me, what's your favorite Scooby movie? They're like meaning cartoon wise. And Alien Invaders is my number one Scooby Doo animated movie. I don't know what it is about this one. I've just always loved it. I swear I have the original trailer ingrained in my mind for this movie. I don't know, but I'm also with JayBee though. I love sci-fi and I love just the thought of, different beings out there and just what is outside of what we already know. And I love that they explored this idea of like, hey, there's these classical green aliens. Oh, but the plot twist is the real aliens are not the alien type of aliens you would have expected.
Yeah, that was good.
So, with that
Three
being
smashes.
said, that is 3 smashes for the Alien Invaders. So, next week, if everything goes to plan, we would be on the Cyber Chase, which I'm looking forward to. I've got to say,
Yeah,
I
me too.
think out of the 4 movies we've watched, I think it's my most viewed one. I think it's the one that I've seen the most. And I don't really know why, but it's definitely the one that I'm the most familiar with. So I'm definitely very excited for that.
Me too. So guys, don't forget to make sure you're back here for that next Saturday. And for any future content around Scooby Doo, and also if you have an interest in Nintendo and that kind of thing, especially Scooby Doo, though, make sure to check out our channel. So subscribe for that, and also please make sure to check out Smash. Their link will be in the description.
Yeah, so I am really excited for this. So thank you again, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Smash or Pass podcast. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to JayBee, Milly, and Smash.